Starting a vegetable garden is an exciting and also rewarding endeavour. It's going to allow you to connect with nature, cultivate fresh, nutritious produce and experience the satisfaction of nurturing life from seed to harvest. So here's our comprehensive guide to help you navigate the process of starting your own vegetable garden. The first thing we need to do is begin to plan our growing space, or indeed spaces. You may have a number of spaces offering opportunities to grow edible produce. Some of them you've not even thought about just yet. For example, you could have an area designated just for flowers or shrubs in borders, or perhaps an outdoor windowsill, or even on patios. You could even have a completely separate area just to grow your edibles. The key here is to recognise what is available to you and then consider the following points. We begin by choosing a suitable location. If possible, select a site that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. But it's worth remembering that some plants will grow well in shady areas, so don't discount these immediately. Now we want to ensure that the area is well drained and is easily accessible for watering and also maintenance. That now allows us to assess what we actually have. Take a look around. What's the ground like as you look at it? Is it lovely and clear, or is it overrun with weeds? Chances are it's going to be the latter, and of course each location will be different from the next, depending on the extent of growth that's already present. The thing about soil is that in nature you're never going to see soil that's left bare. That's because plants will find a way to survive, and soil has the knack of having the right plant types in it to help the soil itself maintain its life within. We will come back to this point and go into more depth at a later stage, because understanding the soil life is very helpful in growing amazing and abundant produce packed with nutrition. Now at this point you may already know or have an idea what kind of gardening theory that you want to follow. Perhaps you want to be a traditional grower, one who is happy to dig the soil once every year and add nutrients as you go. Or maybe you prefer the principles of permaculture. What about no dig, organic? There seems to be a vast range of these things to choose from. One thing that may influence your decision is to consider the area that you have. As we've already said, if it's full of weeds, this could well have an impact on your particular choice. Well, luckily for you, at Regen, we think we have got a valid answer for you. What if there was a way that you could follow, which incorporated all the ideas from above, and then you put them into one big pot and allowed you to use as many or as little of each as suits your own climate, needs and abilities? Well, you found it here in this video at Regen. We've recognised that if we follow these guidelines, then it's possible we're going to save our backs and also our time and produce some great results. Well, here's the thing. For the last 3 years we've created our spaces and tried a number of crops, and this year we have reaped our rewards with wonderful abundance. Our primary focus is the soil and its health, because without it we can't grow anything the way we want to, organically and chemical free at all times. So our objective is not to disturb the soil any more than is absolutely necessary. When we look at the no dig system, it allows us to be able to reduce the weed growth quite dramatically. Once that's been established, we can then begin the full process. Don't worry, we will also go into more detail about how we create these areas very soon. There's one thing to remember to be successful. We need to look after and feed our soils, as this plays an important role as we go through the next steps. A massive part at Regen is the ability to produce our own compost. And we can all do it, doesn't matter the size of our growing space. With that ticked off, now we can consider the gardening style or look that we want. Raised beds offer better drainage, soil control and accessibility, but they do require more effort to construct and maintain. In-ground gardens are less expensive and labour intensive, but they may have drainage issues. Raised beds can also harbour pests, such as slugs and snails. But they are easy to keep weeds under control, offer easy access and even somewhere to sit on the edge if you want to take a short break. But at Regen, we don't really use raised beds as such. The idea for us is to reduce as much of the work as we can, keep things simple and see them as an additional job of maintenance that we can avoid and use the time elsewhere. For example, we can be harvesting or just taking a relaxing stroll around the space. We do have boilers using logs, and as these decompose we can replace them with another one. Anything left from the old one can be used in our wood burner during the winter. Now let's look at planning your layout. Sketch out your garden layout considering plant spacing, companion planting and succession planting to maximise your productivity. But also, it's important to bear in mind any physical structures that may be present. You're going to need somewhere for your compost and also maybe somewhere else to store your tools. And ask yourself, will you erect a greenhouse or even a polytunnel? You will also want to think about the rows between each of your beds. Paved, wood chip or even living pathways. We've got a video on the channel all about living pathways and why you've actually used them here. Okay, with all this sorted, now comes the exciting part, selecting your vegetables. Deciding what to grow is important and it needs a bit of time. First thing, it's climate conditions. You need to choose vegetables that will thrive in your local climate. And so research the optimal growing conditions for each of your plants. Of course, there's also personal preferences. Select vegetables you enjoy eating and that align with your culinary preferences. And consider incorporating a variety of flavours, textures and also colours. Think about the ease of cultivation. A great tip is to start with vegetables that are relatively easy to grow and maintain for beginners. And as you gain experience, you can expand your repertoire. Look at the growing season as well. We want to choose vegetables that mature within our growing seasons. We can consider succession planting to extend our harvest throughout the year. We're going to show you how to do all these things. Follow a planting schedule based on your local climate and the particular needs of your chosen veg. There'll be more on this in a later video. There's a number of planting styles as well. Most common is the traditional row planting. This method involves planting seeds or seedlings in direct rows, creating a neat and organised appearance. There's also a square foot gardening. This space efficient technique divides the garden into smaller squares, allowing for intensive planting and maximising productivity, but also works very well in small spaces as the name suggests. What about container gardening? It's ideal for smaller spaces or limited mobility gardeners. Container gardening allows you to grow vegetables in pots or in raised containers. Another great reason to start growing your own produce are shown to include the following points, and each can be expanded on in more depth. Improved nutrition. Homegrown veg are often fresher, richer in nutrients and less likely to contain pesticides or even preservatives. There's an increase in physical activity. Gardening provides a form of low impact exercise, promoting cardiovascular health, strength and also flexibility. There's reduced stress and anxiety. Connecting with nature and nurturing plants can have a calming effect, reducing stress and anxiety levels. There is scientific research that has shown a link with soil and chemical compounds used in antidepressant medications, so no wonder I feel happy every time I'm outside. It all helps to achieve a sense of purpose, accomplishment and a connection to the natural world, which contributes to mental well-being. You can have a sustainable lifestyle. Growing your own food promotes sustainability by reducing reliance on industrial agriculture and its associated environmental impacts as well. We can demonstrate that regen does have an effect on reducing climate change for the better. All plants sequester carbon from the atmosphere and hold it in themselves and also in the soil. So there we are. So as we come into the winter months for many of us, now is a great time to start thinking about growing your own produce. So begin with this planning phase first, and then in the next videos we're going to dive deeper into how you can not only grow your own food, but show you how to start things off, the best times to sow, transplant and harvest, and even give you tips on what to do with any surplus that you end up with. It's a great decision to make, not only for you, but also your health and that of your family and sometimes even your friends. And like many of you, we are now just starting the winter period, so it's time to start planning ahead. There's not much happening in the garden now, so it's a great time to start learning a new skill. So why not join the channel and let's all grow together. For now, take care and I'll catch you next time.